Central London, 10 days to go before the start of Ramadan, the holy month of prayer and fasting, and barely 10 weeks since the London suicide bombs. Muslims and many thousands of others are taking to the streets again. The Middle East is the ongoing issue, especially the presence of British and American troops in Iraq. The Luton Call to Islam Centre and the Brixton Mosque follow a strict and orthodox tradition of Islam. This week, as the new moon is sighted, we follow the start of Ramadan.
Assalamu alaikum, Brixton masjid. Wa alaikum salam. Naam akhi, Ramadan starts inshallah. It will start tomorrow, and the Tarawih prayer will be for tonight.
And former prisoners describe how extremists target Muslim offenders in prison.
They play on the emotions, say, look, that's your brother, that's your sister, that's your uncle, look what's happening to them. Are you going to sit here and take that?
Allahu Akbar.
War! No! War! No! Peace! Yes! Peace! Yes! War! No! War! No! Peace! Yes! Peace! Yes!
There's an Islamic sense of family, say Muslims, which cuts across national and ethnic divisions. And British Muslims say they share an anger felt by their brothers and sisters worldwide.
So we don't say, like the Christians believe, if your enemy slaps you on the cheek, give him the other one. If he takes your land, give him your water. If he takes your shirt, give him your pants. We don't believe that. That is not an open-ended understanding of the Muslims. It depends on the place and the time and the condition of the Muslim, which will determine for him what's the appropriate stance. So there's a place when turning the other cheek is not permissible, and then there's a time when turning the other cheek is the most beneficial method of dealing with those who oppose you, like now. Now is the time of turning the other cheek and being patient and cleaning what has crept into our religion from falsehood.
For what I see, it's very hard also for the Muslims, because when the non-Muslims, i.e. the governments, they want to go to war, a lot of these Muslims who are here, their family have been in there. The families have been killed. So I genuinely do understand their anger and their frustration. But I just see, unfortunately, two wrongs don't make a right. So I think really, to be honest, I think the government's got a lot to do with it, to be honest. I think the government has created a lot of the fitna, a lot of the problems that are going on between the Muslims and also with the non-Muslims as well.
Prophet Muhammad showed us in the beginning of his call, he used to be forced to turn the other cheek because he didn't have an Islamic state, he didn't have the ability, and to try to repel the onslaught that he was receiving from his enemies, it would have only brought on bigger problems. It would have exacerbated the problem that he, along with his companions, were dealing with. So at that time, he was one who used wisdom, and he did not try to fight fire with fire. Instead, he was patient and he was continuous in his call to al-Islam.
From its early days, Islam has been caught up in politics. Many in the West see the present situation in terms of a crusade, a power struggle between the Muslim and Christian worlds. Some Muslims see things in similar terms. There's a jihad or a holy war being waged against the evils of the Western world, greed and decadence. British Muslims understand the point being made, even if they don't agree with the language of war.
The problem is that there isn't any redress of the balance of the haves and the have-nots, and the craving for the more when somebody doesn't need more. These are the things which are worrying. You know, Islam permits people to do generally whatever they want to do. It only limits those things which are either in excess or those things which will lead to immorality or lead to somebody usurping the rights of someone else. The world that we have, there's no problem in somebody. They can live a happy, rich, good lifestyle in England or in any country and still follow the tenets of Islam without them feeling that Islam is infringing upon them. It only infringes upon you when you, as a person, want to go into excess into what you're doing. So Islam just comes to limit that.
Non-Muslims are well aware of the political debate. It comes across so forcefully that it often obscures the spiritual message of Islam, that there is one God worthy of worship to whom we must all submit.
I do feel very sad, and obviously it does have an effect on us, because when these situations are happening, it's more difficult for me to go outside, because people do want to fight with me, or people do want to speak badly with me. So, you know, it is very difficult for Muslims, really, especially the ones who are trying to have Islam as a way of life. I'm doing my best to re-educate people about terrorism, or, you know, the way some of the Muslims are with the non-Muslims. It's so un-Islamic, the way they behave. So I am doing my part, you know, and I do believe my children are as well. My oldest son, Abdul Rashid, he's always giving talks. He's trying to do a youth project, for example, for the Muslims and non-Muslims as well, to try to get them all together and re-educate them while they are very young. So we are doing our part for the community, I believe, definitely.
Speaker's Corner in London's Hyde Park has for many years been a cockpit of debate. Every Sunday, speakers come here to exercise their right of free speech. They are allowed to gather a crowd and speak out on almost any subject they choose. A generation ago, the debates were largely political. Left-wing politics dominated, with a few stalwart Christian orators. Now, religion dominates. It's a surprisingly tolerant atmosphere, almost carnival-like, as the Muslims and Christians trade text and tirades.
I testify that there is no one worthy to be worshipped except Allah, the Lord of the world, the only creator and the only God who deserves to be worshipped. Allah says in the Quran, "Inna ad-deena 'inda Allahi al-Islam." Verily the way before Allah is submission. The way to the Creator is submission, surrendering. Whoever seeks other than Islam, the religion of Abraham, the religion of Jacob and Joseph, the religion of Moses and Jesus, Allah says, verily that person will never be accepted, and he will be among the losers in this life and in the hereafter.
We come here every week. We come here to tell the people what is Islam, what is not from Islam. We also try as much as possible to clarify the misconceptions. The response is a mixture. Some people, they're actually quite sympathetic with regards to the abuse we're suffering.
You get different people from all kind of ideologies. You get some people that act like they deal with you okay and they speak rationally. You have people who are just emotional freaks, you know, you just exchange, you know. We try to keep it calm and just exchange, you know. If they agree, they agree. If they don't agree, they don't agree. But most of the time, the results are very good.
As Muslims, it's our responsibility and obligation to tell people what Islam is. We're here really to clarify misconceptions and to tell the people what is Islam and what is not from Islam. So we have to keep calm and show a good example. When there's occurrences, we check with the scholars before coming down here. We check with the scholars, find out what our position is with knowledge, so that when we come down, we're basically conveying what the scholars have been saying with regards to recent events.
Basically, convey the message of Islam, to worship none other than God, not to worship statues, not to worship animals, not to worship created things like that we believe other religions call to. And it's basically to clarify, especially in these times, Islam's view on jihad and fighting, and is it permissible to kill innocent women and children, and so forth.
In Europe, Islam has been viewed as a strange foreign faith, but history tells a different story. In Europe, Islam has been viewed as a strange foreign faith, a religion followed by other people in hot, distant countries. But history tells a different story. In medieval times, the Muslim world covered large parts of Europe. Spain was Muslim, and Islam was knocking at the door of both France and Austria. Now Islam is again a strong force in Europe, due not to conquering armies, but to immigration and the population movements of the last 20 years. There are almost 2 million Muslims in Britain, many born in Britain to Muslim parents, plus a growing number of British converts.
Young people in this country, they like to ask questions, a lot of them, which is good in a sense because they're like in a learning process, whereas in the Asian countries, they don't really, they just follow what they've been told. Whereas here, the young people, they go out, they see things, they question themselves, they question their parents, and okay, if this is what it is, then if I were to go out to look for a religion, I would question it. You know, being from a life of clubbing, pubbing, and out and about all the time, by the late 80s, we was right, you know, using all kinds of drugs into everything and everything we could lay our hands on. The violence, it was about control, really. The young men, they see the older ones all driving big cars, you know, flashy cars, and they just want to be like that. I think, well, I don't want to have to work, just sit in my car and I'll just do this and it's an easy way out. Very high percentage of the drugs starts off through leisure, as you would know. It's like, you know, weekend entertainment, and then before they know it, they've got a habit.
The Call to Islam Centre in Luton has been running a project aimed at helping Muslim offenders.
Their job is to basically, when they see any of the youth, any new faces in the mosque that perhaps anybody may have bring, is to again to engage with them and show them good moral support and good manners, and show them that they're loved and there are people here who can help them and guide them. And hopefully from there, slowly, the onus really is on the individual. If he's receptive to our call, then it goes ahead, it goes on fine. If he's not, then we just keep on hoping he's going to change.
Hussein in Brixton is also an ex-offender.
I was born into a family. My mother was Jamaican and my father was Haitian. Unfortunately, as it happens in a lot of poor areas, I grew up without knowing my father. Unfortunately, my mother had to go out and work hard, and she did, and I was left at home, obviously, to grow up by myself and so forth. Then you're obviously like raised by a lot of things like TV, you know, rap, so forth. You've seen your surroundings, and I had no respect for my brother and sister. I used to come in late and cause problems, so forth. So my mum told me over and again, one day, you know, you're going to come home and there's going to be 2 black bags. And fortunately, I did, and it had my stuff in it one day. So I was homeless for a little while as a teenager, and I was living from place to place, you know, North London, you know, Brixton, just different places, even Wandsworth Common. And that's when I got basically introduced to like crime and so forth. I found myself basically remanded in Feltham Young Offenders, and before I went into Feltham, my cousin, his name is Rashad, he became Muslim, and he was talking to me about Islam. He was saying, you know, he's become a Muslim and so forth, and he was wearing a dress, and I thought, what's going on with him? But he just talked to me. I asked for basically a Quran while I was inside, and I went to the Islamic meetings and so forth.
The Muslim network in prison can also offer help and guidance.
You usually bump into someone that you know, and automatically as a Muslim, you sign up for Muslim classes or things like that, or if there are other Muslims on the same wing as you, that you automatically have that link, you see, so they'll come and they'll help you and give you things that you need that you won't have for the first couple of weeks in prison, and they'll just tell you how things work, basically.
They're giving me books about the punishments in the hereafter, what happens to you in the grave. Like if you sell drugs, if you die smoking drugs, taking drugs, or you die intoxicated, what happens to you on the day of resurrection? You'll be raised up all intoxicated and things like that, and they tell you punishments for all different crimes and the sins you commit, all the severe punishments they are, and all them kind of things that put fear into me. I used to read it before I used to go to sleep, and that used to make me think all night long. So I was like, started praying all my 5 times a day, my prayers, everything. Started reading the Quran, started reading more Islamic books. So the fear was just, more and more fear was coming in, which was good. Because before, when I was out of prison, I was on the road. I never used to have fear of anything. But in there I started getting fear of God, started getting fear of everything else. And that scared me a lot. I wouldn't be scared of the police, but I'd be scared of God.
It's young prisoners going through the upheavals, the confusion and the fears of remorse who can fall prey to the extremists.
It is a very emotional time for them, and a lot of the extremist groups play on this emotion to literally sucker them in, if you know what I mean. It's like show them a video of, I don't know, Iraq, Afghanistan, or any other way where there's a war going on. Now, the young people might know not the whole story, but he just watches the video of what's been done of that particular scene or whatever, and then they play on the emotions, say, look, that's your brother, that's your sister, that's your uncle, look what's happening to them, are you going to sit here and take that?
I mean, prison is likely to be an area where if you're trying to convert someone to a distorted form of Islam, as I would describe it, there would be an opportunity to try and do that in prison. Now, whether that's actually taking place or not, I don't know. But if you have obviously got people who are imprisoned at the moment, who do have these extremist views, they're likely to seize an opportunity.
And on release from jail, young Muslims are again vulnerable from the extremists.
Actually literally sort of banned them from coming into our mosque. They couldn't stand there on a Friday, they couldn't give their leaflets out. If they want to do it, they can do it any other part of the town, that's not a problem. But they was not allowed to do it anywhere around our mosque, because we didn't want people to think that we had any sort of thing like a mentality of their mentality.
If he's a bit hot-headed, they'll say, well, that's a good thing to be, whereas we'll obviously tell him that it's not a good thing to be. Your brain's there to use for education and for a better life, not to go around preaching, shouting and screaming. What they'll do really, it's like, the example I'd give is like vultures when they see prey, and then just hang around until they definitely know that this is our time, and then just go for it, as in they'll pump him up with all the information they don't really need.
In Brixton, the mosque has had to deal with the fallout from gang violence on the streets.
Unfortunately, there seems to be a problem amongst some youth who call themselves, or people have dubbed them the Muslim boys, who've caused some problems in and around the Lambeth area. So at this moment in time, certain things are strained amongst the community because there's been some deaths and some shootings, and these individuals claiming to be Muslims. People automatically look, if they come from Brixton, claim to be Muslims, they would automatically think, oh, maybe they go to this mosque. So that obviously has strained some of the relationship with them. But our Imam has been to see some of the victims' parents and such, and we've kept close links with the community and the council, so trying to repair any damage that they've caused.
The already established gangs that do operate within this and many other communities have given themselves that name, the Muslim Boys. And my judgment is that's just to instill even more fear in and around the activities that they become involved in.
The police in the borough hold regular meetings with Muslim leaders from Brixton and other mosques in the area.
Hiya. Yeah, how are you?
Hello. Right.
You well? How are you doing?
Hello.
You well?
How's it going? All right.
Yeah, good. Thanks for coming.
When an innocent man was shot by armed police at Stockwell, just a mile from Brixton Mosque, many Muslims became very alarmed. Did the police have a shoot-to-kill policy? Could anyone just looking suspicious be targeted?
We want to know, has the Commission taken any steps to ensure that this doesn't happen again? Because what are the procedures?
Operation Kratos remains in place to deal with that unique circumstances of dealing with the suicide bomber. There has been some review done around the process.
But Operation Kratos existed then, and an innocent man was shot dead. So, I mean, have they changed anything?
Something went terribly wrong on that day, where an innocent man, you know, met his life in such tragic circumstances. You know that the independent police complaints are looking at it?
Yes.
My understanding is they hope to be able to make a report in around about December, is my understanding. And it is very difficult when you're dealing with, you know, a determined terrorist who's prepared to put a backpack on and just go out and blow up and kill and maim people. We know the challenges that we face, and I think we've talked about that quite extensively, haven't we, you know, in the aftermath of the 7th of July, the first bombing.
Well, Ramadan is the month when most of the youth do come to the mosque. I would say throughout the year. That is the peak period for any mosque when you can actually catch and communicate with the youth.
If there's an opportunity to engage with the youth through Ramadan and deliver the messages that we were delivering in the mosque since the 7th of July, that would be a fantastic opportunity, and I'd welcome it.
But can the Brixton Mosque influence the gangs on the street? Do they have contacts with the Muslim Boys?
Us having direct links with these individuals, the answer is no. We have direct links with the youth, of course, and most of the youth, you know, they run away from these types of individuals. Lots of them have come from, they've either come from outside of the Brixton area, some from Streatham, Battersea, whenever, outside out, generally the catchment area coming to this particular mosque, or perhaps they were recruited or whatever in prison, so the media has mentioned before.
Luton's Call to Islam Centre runs several courses to help young Muslims find work and further their education.
There's some of them under 25, they sign on onto the Bury Park Youth Project. Some of them over 25s, they sign on the Prisoner Rehabilitation Project, or they go on courses that we set up for them, and they get job skills help from our staff and from the Ethnic Minority Training Project. So we're able to try and get them off the streets into work or into education, and also giving them that Islamic education that they need as well.
On my release, I came out and I'd done a 4-year accountancy degree, but I was finding it very hard to get a job because I'm an offender, and that's how I came about to come onto the project. What they helped me with is IT skills, CV, interview skills, ringing around, and they were my reference. They wanted a point of reference. They wanted to know, if you haven't worked, apart from your lecturers, who actually knows you in person. So I've done a year here.
This is a program that we've been running for quite some time, particularly targeting those who are currently not working and want to pursue job hunting. Because it's a Friday today, we'll be taking a reasonable amount of break to ensure that people are able to conduct Friday prayers, inshallah.
Many Muslims seeking work say they have additional hurdles to overcome.
For example, I went for a job, there was another 7 applicants there. Before I even went for the interview, so while I'm waiting in the room with my certificates, I was told that the vacancy has been taken up. And at that time I was praying, I had a beard, and then I went through this transitional change where I thought, hold on, maybe because my appearance isn't what they're looking for. So what I did, by being young and naive, I shaved my beard just to get into a job. Shaved my beard, went for 2 interviews after that, and I got the first job that I went for.
Extreme to the media is a person who wears his Islamic clothes. He's got a beard, he's got a hat on his head, and he prays 5 times a day. I think that media, calls them extremists, rather than the people who are actually the extremists are underground. They're not on the streets. You wouldn't see them in Luton or anyway.
AFTAB is involved in the mosque's youth work.
Walk around the streets talking to the kids and letting them know about the youth project, what we offer, befriend them and give them advice, whatever advice they need. They can use the computers up there, we help them to do the CV.
It's a good place if you want to do revision, you want to use the internet, anything. It's good, and they help you with your work and everything. It's a good place.
They're really good.
Yeah, it's good.
I think it's important that the imams, they understand English culture. It's also important that they understand the English language. Many of the youth in this country, and the people, especially the youth, Muslims in general, in many cases, for example, they will go to the mosque, they'll hear the sermon which is delivered in Arabic or perhaps in Bengali or Pakistani. They don't understand it, so they're unable to relate to the speaker, relate to the imam who is supposed to be a role model. So at the very least, I think it's very important that the imams, they understand English.
The majority of the kids, when they come out of school, they're not sure what course they want to do. They just want to follow their own friends or peer pressure. They want to do what their friends are doing, and they want to go to the same college as their friends. And what we do here at the Youth Project is, try to break that cycle out there. Let them make the decision themselves.
But are young men and young women treated equally?
The girls, they're told you're not allowed to go out, you have to stay home, you have to look after the house, and they're given a lot of responsibility at a very young age.
In the Salafi Muslim tradition, there's a strict separation of men and women. But are young men and young women treated equally? It was an issue raised by a group of students when the author, Naima Robert, recently visited an East London bookshop.
What inspired you mainly to write the book?
Being a Muslim woman myself and being, someone who reverted to Islam, I knew the stereotypes that were around about Muslim women, and I knew that I didn't live that life, and my friends didn't live that life. This is the voice of the proud Muslim woman, not the oppressed one, not the abused one, not the one who's begging to be liberated or is dying to take off her hijab, but the one who is happy to be Muslim.
After the 7th of July bombings, do you feel pressured or scared of wearing your hijab?
Muslim women are always saying, we choose hijab, so we're not forced to, our fathers don't force us, our husbands don't force us. So many websites, so many times you hear Muslim women saying that. Some people need to believe that this is oppression because it makes them feel liberated.
Oh, okay.
So with some people, at the end of the day, you won't change their minds because they already believe what they believe and they want to believe that. So it's only for those, I think, who have open minds, who are not afraid to hear something different from what they were raised with.
For the woman, it's only her family which should see her body. It's not for the outside world to see her body. I actually know this because I was a non-Muslim and I worked as a workaholic once upon a time. So I do know how the men interact with the woman in the office or at work or whatever. And Islam stops all of this from the beginning. So I find since I have been wearing my Islamic identity, I haven't had men approach me in the way that they would normally approach me if I wasn't a Muslim.
But are young Muslim men given a free rein to make mistakes, while young women are kept under close family supervision?
What we find is, for example, some families, they go to different extremes. One extreme is, for example, the girls, they're told you're not allowed to go out, you have to stay home, you have to look after the house, and they're given a lot of responsibility at a very young age. Although this has many benefits to it, but when they see that their brothers are able to go out anytime, they're not taught, they're not given any education, they're not looked over, watched over by their parents with regards to school, education, their social behaviour. So we find that sometimes the girls, they may feel, well, how come this is always happening to us, and then our brothers always get away with whatever they want to do.
For you as Muslim girls and Muslim youth, I would say, what you have to understand is that you are accountable now. You have your own account, and while your parents may, get on your nerves sometimes, etc., you have to understand where they're coming from, and they have to try and understand where you're coming from, so that together you can make it through these years, because these years are very tough. There's so much temptation and fitna everywhere, and pulling you this way, and influences pulling you that way. Now is the time to really stick to what you know to be correct.
Really, I personally think that the way my mother and father are bringing me up at the moment, it is absolutely right.
Really?
Some people will see it the wrong eye, saying, oh my gosh, this and that, but I'm used to this way, and even if anyone questions me, I'm like, yes, but they really care. All parents care, but all parents care, but they've got different ways of showing it.
At the end of the day, your parents can raise you and guide you as much as they can, as much as they want to, but after a while, and when you become an adult, you have your own fate is written for you. If you want to be, a rebel, you make that choice. If you want to be, try to better yourself Islamically, you make that choice. But you have to make it. It's not good enough to say, I was born Muslim, I'm from a Muslim family, alhamdulillah, I'm fine.
To be a Muslim means observing the 5 pillars of the faith. To declare belief in one God, to pray 5 times a day, give charity, observe the fast of Ramadan, and go on pilgrimage to Mecca. Just before Ramadan, Abdul Qadir from Luton flew to Saudi Arabia.
The purpose of my travel to Saudi Arabia is twofold. First and foremost is to fulfill a requirement of our religion, which is to perform Umrah. And Umrah is a smaller pilgrimage. It's a way of getting close to our Lord Allah and seek forgiveness.
It's a life-changing experience, probably like seeing one of the wonders of the world. Seeing so many people, not only they look like you, they do the same things that you do, they believe in the same way that you do, and they have the same connection with Allah as you do. And just seeing so many people together in a place where there is harmony. Because normally you would expect, if you see crowds of 1 million or 2 million people, or even crowds of less, 100, 200,000 people, you always end up finding pockets of trouble or people jostling and this, that and the other, and Hajj it's not like that at all.
Our Call to Islam Education Centre has actually set up a Hajj and Umrah package last year. Last year was our first Hajj package, my responsibility is to go to Saudi Arabia, book the hotels, deal with the relevant authorities there to get an ID card and establish Call to Islam Education Center as a tour operator there, and so I can book the hotels and book everything for our pilgrims that we're going to take in end of December.
Being able to tread the footsteps of the Prophet, go where he went and do what he did exactly, makes you really connected to that particular faith. So we don't just tell you that Islam commands you to do something, we will show you. You say here, this is what the Quran says, this is what the Prophet said about this issue, this is how the people who were around the Prophet understood this issue. So this is the reason why we do such and such. You have the spiritual connection with your Lord, which is made in a way in which there are some prescribed actions which help you to keep that spiritual connection. Whereas some people say in other religions, because there aren't any prescribed actions, you can't keep this connection except for you yourself. Whoever comes here or comes to learn from the mosque will learn Islam in a structured manner, so they are able to understand not only the benefits, but able to understand where Islam came from and what it means in a knowledge based. We don't teach it, it's just Islam is something up there and you're down here. No, you're all part of it, and you can learn to be exactly like the Prophet. If you're able to do that, you can learn to be exactly like him.
Shortly, Rashid will be flying to Saudi Arabia to take up a new job as an English teacher.
I've been offered a job in Saudi Arabia. I've accepted it, so I'm going to be leaving straight after Ramadan. I'll be teaching teenagers, teaching English as a foreign language. Something I wanted to do for a long time, to travel out to Saudi Arabia. I'll be working there, and then hopefully before long I'll be enrolled in a university, in which case I'll be studying full-time. So I'm just taking one step as it comes, one step at a time. My wife will be coming with me first, and hopefully before long my mom, my younger brother, will be coming out as well. They're very excited, my whole family's very excited. When I got the news, they've been really happy until now. Several days later, they're still in their element. So really looking forward to it, very excited.
Rashid will miss some things about his old job. His boss was also a good friend, and they had several lively discussions over lunch.
When I was told, as a Muslim, you can't be having boyfriend and girlfriends the way I was doing, and I can't be touching and flirting with girls, I thought, whoa, what a drag, And it took me years.
Do you think that a family that's always been Muslim maybe doesn't have the same kind of drive and desire to be as knowledgeable as your family?
You don't truly know Islam or value Islam until you've been in the days of ignorance. Whereas I wasn't raised with Islam, I was into many things, And when I had to make these changes, it wasn't until after I made the change that not only did I fulfill what was obligatory, but I've actually grasped an understanding of why it says to do that,
Rashid leaves for Saudi Arabia at the end of Ramadan, the month of fasting and prayer.
Ramadan is a time for reflection, and it's a time for the Quran, it's a time for memorizing, it's a time for reciting, it's a time for increasing good deeds. That's the blessed month.
We try to busy ourselves doing good as much as possible.
Some countries that I've been to and some people that I've met, all they're doing for Ramadan is being hungry. But Ramadan is so much more than that, because that's the time really that you make your commitment to being the Muslim that you really believe that you can be. And that's the time because the distractions should be out of the way and you're concentrating. So you're concentrating on becoming close to Allah and doing the things that He's asked you to do.
Towards the last perhaps hour or half an hour, you feel very hungry. We try to be busy, keep busy, take our mind off it. But also when you feel so strongly about something, you tend to love it. I actually enjoy fasting.
But you've actually gained something, not just for this life, but for your akhirah as well, during that whole month. Got rid of all your sins, helped lots of people, made friends that you didn't have before, got back in touch with family members, all these types of things. That's the time in Ramadan to do that kind of thing, I would say.
It's about being a better person, being more self-disciplined, and I find that it's much better during the month of Ramadan.
Ramadan starts officially when the new moon is sighted. All new months in the Islamic lunar calendar start when the crescent moon is first observed, just after sunset. The problem is that the new crescent is seen in different parts of the world at different times. In Britain, thanks to cloud and haze, it's seldom seen at all. So when Ramadan is due to start in Britain is a matter of some disagreement. Dr. Usama Hussan is a mathematician and astronomer. He looks for the new moon from Primrose Hill in London.
So that actually people often don't know on which day to look for the new crescent, and that's why the Muslim calendar varies according to the different Muslim countries. And there are related issues such as if people in one Muslim country see the crescent, does that apply to people in a very different country, as for example of Saudi Arabia and Britain? Now there are different legal opinion on that amongst the Islamic legal jurists. Some say that actually one sighting of the crescent is valid for the whole world. Others say no, you look for it in your own locality. And all of this contributes to a bit of confusion, especially amongst British Muslims, where we often begin and end Ramadan on 2 or 3 separate days. Typically most people will either find out from Saudi Arabia or from their home countries such as India or Pakistan or Egypt or Turkey or wherever as to what the people in their home country are doing and follow that.
I just phone up the mosque and speak to reliable people, people who have connections with imams around the world, like in Saudi Arabia, to find out if the moon has been spotted, and then I'll just keep phoning until we find out what day it is on.
Prophet said actually that the month has 29 days or 30 days. In fact, it's recorded he went like this, 29 or 30 days. And he said, therefore look for the moon on the 29th day. If you see it, you know the next day is the beginning of the next lunar month. Otherwise, if it's cloudy, he actually said, assume the month is 30.
سيد الأولين والآخرين.
So now the question is, some Muslim countries have started today, others will start tomorrow. We are left in a bit of a dilemma as to who or what to follow, because we haven't been able to see the moon for ourselves here in London. And this is the issue that needs to be resolved by Islamic scholars, by the scientists, but also by political unity, if you like. Perhaps we need a Grand Mufti of Britain to decide on which procedure to follow to determine the dates of Ramadan and Eid.
On the day on which, according to the astronomers' calculations, the new moon was due to appear, Musa was waiting outside the Brixton Mosque.
Oh, we're waiting to hear the time, you know, if the sighting of the moon. You know, usually we get it from Saudi and all these places, probably sometime Yemen and all these places.
Okay, inshallah. All right, ya akhi, barakallahu feek, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
It's Sidi Muhammad's job to answer the phone at the Brixton Mosque.
Well, for me, you know, I come to the masjid, sit and read Quran, you know, balance the mind, you know, keep it on a balance, and to function, you know. You know, to carry on function, you see, because it's so much, you know, the mind is like a, what you put it now, like a, you know, a motorway, you know, everything is going through. So you need a balance, you need to calm it, you need to steady it, you know, to function.
Ramadan starts tomorrow, and the first night prayer, extended night prayer, Tarawih prayer, is tonight. So really that's very good news for the Muslims, and I'm sure everybody will be very excited.
Because the month of Ramadan is a blessed month, so many wonderful things happen in that month. Not only is fasting prescribed, but also the Quran was revealed in Ramadan. So that's why the Quran is such a huge part of our Ramadan. That's why when we pray the Quran, you know, the Tarawih in the mosque, that's why we stand in the prayer for so long, because we recite the whole Quran during Ramadan. And also people try to read as much Quran as possible, they try to recite Quran as much as possible, they're not allowed to shout at each other, not allowed to be angry. So the whole month has got this aura about it, which is very holy. It's like it really is a holy month when you're actually doing it properly.
Probably our first phone call. There we go. Assalamu alaikum, Brixton masjid. Wa alaikum salam. Naam akhi, Ramadan starts inshallah. It will start tomorrow, and the Tarawih prayer will be for tonight. Tomorrow, yes, Tuesday. The Tarawih prayer, Qiyamul Layl, is tonight inshallah. Yes. Alright akhi, Assalamu alaikum. That was our first caller. But there'll be many, many more as well. Many, many more. So I think it's advisable for us to actually put a message on the phone, informing people that Ramadan starts tomorrow and the night prayer will start tonight. Assalamu alaikum, ikhwan. Ramadan inshallah starts.
Word spreads rapidly.
The lack of sleep, lack of food makes us become better people. People who can control our desires, our lusts, people who are able to control even our bodily functions, all these things. So I mean, it will be beneficial for us. I would just hope Ramadan goes good for us.
There are fewer things that are actually as spiritual as fasting, because you're giving something up purely for the sake of Allah, not for anybody else, not for your children, for your husband, for your family, purely for the sake of Allah, and He rewards you for that. Not only does He reward you for that in the afterlife, but now, because you taste this sweetness of denying yourself something and connecting with other people who don't have all the time, of being aware of other people's poverty or their lack of food, which gives you humility at the end of the day. And then of course there's the joy at the end when you are allowed to eat. Food tastes different. Your appreciation of things is completely different. When you have food available all the time, you take it for granted. When you're fasting, you appreciate the food and you're truly grateful. I think most people will say that when they eat food after fasting, it tastes so much better because they have striven for it. And I think that that's one of the things in fasting that really does connect you, and not just the fasting but the whole month of Ramadan.
Alhamdulillah, because we know what it is, akhi. We need to actually put the message informing the people that Ramadan starts tomorrow on the masjid phone, because we're getting quite a few calls of people phoning. So instead of me picking up the phone every time and saying the same thing. Wa alaikum salam. The reception's not too good. Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me, akhi? Yeah. Alright, Shakhi. Assalamu alaikum. Alright. The calls are pouring forth now.
We normally in Brixton, we have also lectures that are done with overseas link-ups, because the people, they like to hear from people who are like qualified scholars, who are like my teachers. So we always have that also added in during Ramadan, so they get some type of advice from those teachers or scholars regarding how they should function in Ramadan and continue with this practice outside Ramadan. So whatever lessons we learn throughout Ramadan, then we should try to continue with them after Ramadan.
An announcement for both brothers and sisters. We've got news that Ramadan will start tomorrow, Tuesday, the 4th, and that Qiyamul Layl, the Tarawih prayers, will start tonight after Salatul Isha, which will commence at 8:30. Wa barakallahu feekum wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullah. You'd find the closer we get to the last night prayer at 8:30, the more calls we'll get, because obviously the later you leave it, the greater confirmation we can make. So yeah, you ready?
Ready.
How ready you are? You ready?
So ready.
Today I think is the Tarawih inshallah.
Okay, so and Fajr, yeah? We start Fajr, yeah?
Yeah, we'll start inshallah after the Isha. We'll start the
okay.
We'll start the Tarawih.
Okay.
So you know what it means, Ramadan time.
Yes, okay.
We're to put out the dates,
yes,
put out the food, roll out the mats.
Yeah.
It's usually me and Musa who actually take into our own hands, and we provide some of the arrangement for the food and everything. But mashallah, Musa's been doing it for the past 6 years. So he's what we term old school. Musa old school.
Yes, okay.
The custom in the masjid that we try to provide a we call suhoor, a small meal for the fast breaking. Then after, like a proper meal for for the community. So that itself, to coordinate all of that, on a day-to-day basis or a week, day-to-day basis, it's a lot of effort.
You really do strive, and I think it's that striving only for the sake of Allah, because you know that the gates of paradise are open and the gates of hellfire are closed, and all these different things that remind you that this is a special month. It's not like another month. And I think most Muslims who are, who fast in Ramadan will say the same thing.
الصيام غدا إن شاء الله. Are you ready, أخي?
I'm ready, of course.
تبارك الله.
Thank you very much.
إن شاء الله خير وبركة. إن شاء الله خير. السلام عليكم. What it is that in Islam, if we don't see the new moon, but somebody from Egypt or Syria or Jordan or Pakistan or Afghanistan or Nigeria, if they sight it, usually they would contact the other countries, and you'd find that the whole Muslim world globally will fast based upon the sighting of that particular country. Yeah, it's working, Sean. Okay, time to stick it up. السلام عليكم. السلام عليكم. Have you heard the news?
Next week, fasting and the family. When should children be encouraged to go the whole day without food? And finding a wife the Muslim way.